in the declaration towards the end. But do you think that it might have been referring to them as opposed to atheists in particular?
No. What Jefferson was after made room for, and would have made room for, the Native American religion. Most of Virginia is not real good about Indians and blacks and so on. That this wasn't on the screen yet, and yet the device would work very well for that. But he would not have called them infidel, and frankly, one of the biggest problems that the European colonizers and conquerors had was that the Indians had too many beliefs. It really bothered them. They had the great Manitou, they had all hierarchies of that, and as far as they were concerned, they were fighting superstition, but not the revealed one in the book. There was room for it. They just wouldn't have called it infidel.
If I could just jump in, and this actually ties back to the question about the influence of Islam on the Constitution. In my Native American religions class, we just read a person who was trying to argue that the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were influenced by Native American religions. But I have to agree with Professor Marty on this. It really, Native Americans and people, Aboriginal peoples everywhere were not on the Euro-American screen yet. They had no interest in them, in depth. Jason?
I actually have a question that applies, or I could ask both the professors in regards to Islam and the Statute of Religious Freedom. And it's been something I've been wondering about for the past few months. Islam provides for each Muslim a last will and testament. And if a Muslim's, for instance, passes before there's any legal documentation, based on the Statute of Religious Freedom, because through Islamic law we've been provided with a last will and testament, is it legally accepted?
Is it legally accepted that the person convert from Islam to another religion?
Is the last will and testament within the Quran accepted for any Muslim, whether they've converted or were born Muslim? Is it accepted as a legitimate will?
I don't understand the question.
Within the Quran, there is, a last will and testament for Muslims, how they're supposed to divide what they own after they pass away. Now, within the states, you're supposed to have a signed will and testament or recorded or something for legal documentation. Because our will is provided religiously, is it still accepted whether or not there is a signed form of documentation? Is what my question is.
Well, this question doesn't pertain to this lecture, of course, but there are...
No, based on the Statute of Religious Freedom, is it because...
No, if you're interpreting religious freedom, the person can do anything that they like, of course. You can say, I have religious freedom, I'm having a whiskey tonight with my dinner. I mean, that interpretation can be given. I'm free to do whatever I want. But those who want to follow Islamic law, who believe that they're obliged as Muslims to follow Islamic law, then part of Islamic law deals with inheritance. And the question becomes very complicated is when you live in a country, let's say Muslim living in America, where the tax laws and so forth are such that they do not work with the Islamic laws of inheritance. What do you do? That has created a great deal of complex questions. I myself, at the end of my life, I'm faced with this question right now. This is something which Muslims have to work out. The situation had not existed before. Muslims living in India or China, minorities, this were already settled and there were not tax structures like there are here. So this is something that has to be worked out according to Islamic law. But to say that because of religious freedom, I'm not following this part of Islamic law, I'm following the other, that's another question. Many Muslims consider themselves to be Muslims, but they gamble or they drink or they fornicate, but they still say the prayers and so forth. That's a very, very complicated question which exists in every religion. How we follow God's commands and where we break them and then we repent and do it again and so forth and so on. American television is full of it from morning to night. And Islamic television would do the same. That's a very complicated question.
I think we have one last question.
I can't tell you how personally grateful I am that you both have come tonight, and I'm sure that the audience agrees with me. My question for you both is, God willing, might we hope that you both return again in the future and continue this dialogue?
First of all, thank you very much for your kindness, and I hope so, if God gives me the strength and the life, and of course, if you invite me, you get tired of me. I've been here for a few years. I shall come again as long as my friend Amir Razadi calls up with a sweet Khorasani voice. Says, Dr. Nasr, it's an important lecture you must come to. I never say no to my former students, so I will come.
And I find this place very hospitable, and I'm retired, so I have nothing else to do, so I might go. But more seriously, both the biographical part of it, which I was in last night, and this, I do think that this university is sitting on some very rich gifts in faculty I've met and energies and directions it's going. And I have a strong passion. By the way, one little correction. I didn't invent the Marty Center. They surprised me when I retired. Yeah. So anyways, that's good fun. I need my own center. but the subtitle of that is interested in public religion, meaning in what way is the religion of people who believe different things profoundly then brought out into places where individuals and groups who don't agree with you are present, and a climate is set where you can present it. That's my very strong interest. And I think that the two examples I have these 2 nights shows an effort by this university to reach not only its constituents, but anybody in the community, anybody who comes any distance. And I think that should be congratulated and nurtured, and that's probably why we're here. Thank you.
All right. And thank you.